sounds like a little bit steep, but
I thought, well, I mean, what's the difference between a boring under a road or boring under a driveway? You still have to set a pit on both sides and do the bore, won't you?
yeah, they still got to.
So the cost can't be any different if you're boring under a gravel road or boring under somebody's driveway. The cost is going to be the same.
It's so much a foot, I'm sure.
And most of them are so much a foot, so it all depends how far apart you got to set your bore. I mean, I guess, you know, when we look at requests that come in for utilities, what we try to do is make our best guess for where can we put the utilities. You know, we haven't asked them to be in our right of way. You know, in rural water, they typically try to stay outside of our right of way if they can, because they know if, you know, the agreement says that if you're in our right of way and if we go to do a grading project in the future and you're in the way, you move at your expense. You know, so when we look at the plans, we try to look at them and predict in the future, where can we put this water line that's going to be least interrupted in the future? You know, is that in the bottom of the ditch, you know, near the back slope? We definitely want to keep them out of that area from the shoulder of the road to 10 feet off the shoulder, because that's right where the signs go. We want to make sure you aren't anywhere close to where the signs go.
But you don't set your post 5 feet in the ground.
Well, some of them get close to that, maybe, especially the tall ones that get.
Well, yeah, but they're still on the slope, on the fourth slope.
Yeah, but with time, they've been moving them further out away from the edge of the road than they used to be. And that's the trouble. They get out there down the slope, and all of a sudden you got a ditch that's 5 foot deep, and the post has got to be 20 foot long. You got to get them in the ground, you know, a ways to keep them from the wind from being wrapped.
Well, I think it's reasonable to ask people to be in the on the back slope, towards the back slope of the ditch. I mean, you just that makes good common sense. That you don't want them right up next to the road, because I mean, you just
And we're not asking to put this on the shoulder or the fourth slope. You know, we'll put it where it needs to be.
Yeah.
I guess I'm asking for your approval on this thing, and I guess I'm asking for a waiver on the costs of, or a waiver on boring as opposed to trenching. I mean, the only excuse I got this morning was that when they go to backfill those trenches across the driveways, they have a tendency to settle, and then those property owners yell at secondary roads because there's a rut in their driveway. Well, you know, we can do whatever we can to fix that. Granted, there'll be some settlement periodically, but
that's usually a first year deal.
Yeah.
Once you,
and I guess there's a fiber optic line in there too, and one of my concerns was if you're going to dig a pit, 11 different driveways times 2.
There's 11 house entrances, or
there's 11 driveways. Some are field entrances, some are house entrances. And I think there's only about 3 field entrances along that route. But you stand a better chance of interrupting that fiber optic if you're digging a boring pit on either side of those 14 times.
Well, again, that's after I saw the comment in the minutes. I called Mike and asked him what he knew about this, and I said it looks to me like it, you know, should meet with you and the contractor to see. I mean, I haven't even driven the route. I guess I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I know out here.
Well, that thing that in the minutes last week really had nothing to do with you. All they were doing was the board tentatively approved that agreement subject to me securing this easement.
Yeah.
So that was all that was.
I just didn't know whether he knew anything. I knew you talked to me once about what it was going to take, and you know, one concern is there's a deep fill over top of this one culvert. Is that this one here? And I'm not sure.
And we have 2 options there. George said we could either stay somewhere in that slope halfway down or 3/4 way down, whatever. We also have permission from that landowner to go out of the right of way and down in the flat and cross and then back up, whichever. But there's plenty of room there on that foreslope.
Yeah, it's just a steep foreslope. He thinks he can stay on the slope and dig that. And of course, you know, from secondary road standpoint, you know, whenever we can get utilities to stay out of our right of way, we'd like to keep them out of our right of way. I didn't know whether you would. I know one time you tried to go clear up next to town and you couldn't get through there.
We can't get through there. We can't get through Provost Farms, which is the Roeder families.
That's in that first quarter-mile here.
It's the 270th and Rolfe Avenue. It's this one right here. We were going to come across here through this north end of this property, but they wouldn't let us. We had permission up here, but they wouldn't let us. And that's the only way we can get there.
Have you got sometime later this week you meet with Mike and I don't know whether...
I'll call George and set it up with you, or,
okay.
But he's ready to go as soon as we get the easement.
Anytime tomorrow would probably work, or else... Well, tomorrow afternoon would work better for me.
I'll see if I can get a hold of George.
The sooner you do the Mike, I think, was free all day, pretty much all day tomorrow. Thursday, 11 to 1, he's got somebody coming he needs to talk to, but Thursday, either before or after that would work too. So.
Okay, maybe like Thursday afternoon or sometime tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning, if you let me know today, tomorrow morning I was planning on being in Calhoun and then Sac after dinner, but I can swap them if you...
Let me see what I can do.
If you let me know. But yeah, we'll want to take a look at it and see what's out there.
Okay, I'll call you.
You want these back?
No, I've got a copy. That's yours.
Okay.
So, any other items or anything else that needs to be discussed today?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second that. It's been moved and seconded. We're adjourned. We're adjourned.